Okay, everybody, let's take a look at the next project. What we have is a chest. Don't know what kind of chest, just know it's a chest. It's a small one. Beautiful moldings on it. The joinery here is loose tenon joinery. So, you know, nicely put together. It's quite dirty. The edge of this kind of slopes back slightly. It's missing a foot. This one's loose here. Inside the chest, oh, we have treasure. Oh, we do have treasure. We have that foot that's missing. So that's good. Don't have to make a foot. We already have a foot. This is how the foot would sit. So this is on the inside under the chest, and it'll never be seen. Just makes no sense. These side pieces are sloped lower at the back and more up at the front. I don't know if there was an insert in here or not. I'm not really sure what's going on there. We've got a hole here and a hole here in between these moldings. And we have another one here straight through to the back. So I don't know what that's about. Right now it's filthy. Get it cleaned up and see what it looks like afterwards and see what we can do with this. So let's get started. Now that we have it all cleaned up and it's dried overnight, what I'm going to do is take some denatured alcohol and try and get the colors to match up. If you look at this piece, the top's a different color than the sides and the moldings. The front is a different color, and this side is a totally different color than all of it. So I'm going to see if I can strip off a lot of the finish that's on it. I'm going to try and use some denatured alcohol to do that. It could be that someone had already tried to strip off the shellac that was on it, but we'll see what we can do with it and go from there. So just got some denatured alcohol, some steel wool. Oh, that foot's annoying. And we're just going to put that on, give it just a minute, and we're just going to wipe that back. See what happens. All right, that is taking quite a bit of color off. So that might get this side and the top to match. So let's keep working with that and see what we can do. Oh, that's gonna get on my nerve. And what this denatured alcohol does is it removes like the shellac and some of the discoloration of old shellac, because if you leave shellac on, it'll start turning after many years. It'll go yellow and kind of a dark amber. So that's what we're doing, is we're just removing the old shellac finish. Now you want to wipe that shellac and all the denatured alcohol off very quickly, because it will dry, and then it's just gonna leave that shellac on. So you're just reactivating the shellac that was on it, and I'm wanting to take it off. So, but if you wanted to keep the original shellac finish, or say something had happened and it just had gatoring, then you could just reactivate it and let it dry and keep that original shellac finish. And you can tell from the color of my denatured alcohol that we really are removing quite a bit of color. We're going to change the color right here. I'm going to show you how this is doing. Removed all the old shellac that was on that corner. So you can just keep scrubbing and get all of that off. Don't know what this chest was used for, but it's fun trying to figure it out. I mean, it may have been just a keepsake box for memories and letters, pictures. You don't know what history might have been put into this box at some point. We've taken the top off of this piece because it was putting a lot of pressure on that piano hinge, and there were some moldings that were loose. Now right here, because there was so much pressure being put on this piece of wood, there was a crack. So we've had this gluing overnight, and we're going to check and see if we've taken care of that crack. Oh yeah, you can see, you can barely tell. So that's good. We've got that all sorted out. Got the moldings back on nice and tight. Oh, still got one here. I couldn't do them all at once because I didn't want my clamps popping. So we'll go ahead and get this one glued down nice and tight. We've gotten all of the old shellac off. We've got different pieces, different woods here. This is a different wood from this piece on the front. Same piece, but that one side is different than all of the rest, which is just, this piece is just a mystery. It's quite interesting, but that's actually given me an idea on what I'm going to do with this piece. While I've been gluing the moldings back on, I've also been taking the feet and reattaching them nice and tight so that we don't have any problems there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as well while I'm doing that molding. I'm just filling a syringe with some Tybond, and that'll help me to get under that molding. Water-based glue, so it'll wash out of the syringe quite easily. And I'm just putting the feet back on just the way they have them, even though I think they're wrong, but it is the way it was, so that's the way we're going to put them back on. Put a little glue under here. Wipe off that excess glue. Squeeze out. Okay, so that's the feet all back on and attached. That's nice. Now let's get this molding taken care of. You can see how much clay there is there. Don't want that. And get that syringe right underneath that molding to add our glue. And then we'll just clamp that down. Now I want this edge to be as tight as possible, and since we've got this piece going across, I can't really get one of these clamps here, so just going to put me a little block here so that I don't do any damage, and get one of my big clamps on this. Gonna take a bigger one than that one. One thing that you will find when you start doing things like this is that you think you have enough clamps in your shop until you start doing repairs. And that's when you figure out that you don't have anything like you thought you did. I've got a boatload of clamps. Never enough. Okay, and we'll just leave that to dry. That looks good. Check for any glue coming out. A little bit of squeeze out will clean up. Okay, we've got this all stripped, and now we're going to go ahead and sand it down. So I've got a 100 grit sandpaper, And just going to fold this into 3 sections. If you do your sandpaper this way, you'll get more use out of it, because then you have 3 flat surfaces. So, okay. So I'm just going to give it an all over with a 100 grit. Now we can take a look at how much of the scratches came out. Quite a few came out, but not all. We still have a lot of scratches. They're pretty deep in. You can see here, right there. There's some over here. There's quite a few there that we can see that are cross grain. But I have given it a 100 grit sand, and now we'll give it a 220, and that's as far as I want to take that, because I don't want to go through the veneer. Now this is a pretty thick veneer, but I don't want to create problems. I am not an expert at restoration and never claimed to be. That takes so many years. I think that's kind of one of those things that, you know, I don't know that you ever actually fully learn it. You can learn some tricks, but I think that even seasoned restoration professionals keep learning, and new technologies come out that help. But you know, I don't feel comfortable calling myself a restoration expert. I would not take a commission piece that was of historical value and feel comfortable accepting money for a historical restoration on that. And I think that's the difference between someone that is comfortable you know, calling themselves a restoration expert, and someone who has a little bit of knowledge. Okay, so we got this piece all sanded down, and it looks great. It feels nice. I got some more of the scratches out, going down just a little bit more with that sandpaper. It's all been sanded down to a 220, and now what I want to do is get some stain on it. Now, it's made out of different woods, which gives it kind of a two-toned effect. You've obviously got a more red wood here and a darker wood here. And then the moldings are more red as well. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to make this different woods and the different colors more of a feature to this piece. And I think it's going to be quite cool. But we're gonna do 2 different colored stains on this, and see what happens. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is wipe this down with some mineral spirits. That's going to let us see that wood. As you can see, this is quite red, but that's okay. I don't mind redwoods. Could be mahogany. And then I think this is more of a walnut. I'm not really good with wood species. Sometimes you think you're getting there and you almost understand them, and then you find out that you're not correct in your guess as to what they are, but that's okay. I think we're going to leave this a bit lighter, go darker on the molding here, and I think that's going to look really quite nice. And then we'll get this piece put back together. Now, since I'm doing these little scallops, I've just got a little artist brush, and I'm just going to go in here and give these a stain. Now, espresso stain is it's almost black, so these are oil-based stains, so they're not just going to wipe off. So just be aware of that you'll need to clean those brushes with some brush cleaner. All right, now let's get this bottom molding, and we want it to be the same color as those scallops that I've just done. I use that same stain. I'm just going to come back through and wipe off the excess stain on this ledge here. Okay, lovely. And then I'm just going to dab all of those little scallops that we did, just to be sure that we don't have any problems with it drying. Oh yeah, this is going to look really pretty. Okay. Now I'm going to get on, do the rest of these moldings and these scallops over here, and then we will move on to the next phase. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put a seal coat on this. I don't want it to go really dark, and we've got a lot of wood that's been sanded quite a lot on this, so I'm just going to put a seal coat of shellac on here. And this is just a 2-pound cut. This will help us to control the color that we end up with at the end. If you put a stain on wood that's been sanded like this, there's always that possibility that that stain is going to go very, very dark, almost black. Now we will be coming back through and sanding this, well, running a 4/0 steel wool over it, so this is not going to be a final finish, I don't think. Kind of like that color though. It's a good color. Nice finish. I want to be sure and get that little edge there. Just wanting to not take it, or not let my dauber ball get in there. Okay, we're going to let this flash and we'll come back to it. All right, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a seal coat on this bottom molding down here. If you're finding this video helpful and you want to support the channel, we appreciate you hitting that like button and subscribing so that you can see the new videos when they come out. I'm just going to put a seal coat on this. Just going to do the same thing on the top lip so that it's nice and pretty when you open the top. So we've just put a seal coat on here. Alright, so that's how our side's done with the shellac and the front. I'm kind of liking that two-tone look, so I think we might just shellac rather than put another color of stain on. I think that the wood color is just beautiful. So we're going to let this flash and we'll come back and we'll probably do another 6 to 10 coats to get the look that I'm looking for. Okay, so I have finished this little chest and I think it looks so sweet. Did a darker color on the bottom molding here than the body and the top. Got everything to match up quite nicely. Inside is just simple, clean. I did remove the shellac and put on some new stain, and I think that looks lovely. Put on safety hinges. Alex put safety hinges on here so that it didn't slam shut on your fingers. And then we've just taken some gold wax and gave a little bit of depth to this little scallop molding in the front. I've also put a dark stain in the scallop part, and that picks up with the dark stain on the bottom molding. I think it makes it look really nice. Cleaned up the original hardware, and it looks absolutely beautiful now. This is a really nice piece, and I may keep it, I may sell it. I haven't really decided. It's just so sweet. I don't know that I can let it go, and I could find a use for it.